thank you all for coming out in remembrance and respect for those who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. As stated, nearly 3,000 people lost their lives in that terrorist attack. I know there's some of you here tonight that had possibly loved ones, friends, or co-workers who were lost that day. In the fire service, firefighters have an unspoken connection to one another. It doesn't matter whether you're a career firefighter or a volunteer, whether you're from the smallest rural department or the largest department in the United States and around the world, FDNY. It doesn't matter if you're on the job or retired, like some of our men from the FDNY that are here today. It doesn't matter if you're a firefighter in Europe or anywhere around the world. We all have the same goal: to serve our community, keep it safe, even if it requires paying the ultimate sacrifice. On September 11, 2001, the men and women of the Orlando Fire Department were shocked, just as was the rest of the country. We were shocked by the hijacking, by the planes going into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and crashing in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But the one thing we were not shocked by was the actions and bravery of the men of the FDNY on that day as they entered those burning buildings. What you may not know, and I think it's important to express, is that the FDNY didn't just gain the reputation as the bravest on September 11th. The FDNY and the men and women of the FDNY have long been considered the standard for firefighters throughout the country, mainly because of their long history of experience, training, bravery, courage, and compassion for the job and the people of New York City. Many firefighters have died in the line of duty, both before 9/11 and now since 9/11. In actuality, 57 more have died as a result of the alarm box of Manhattan and the Twin Towers as a direct result. It is because of their heroism and selfless actions that they are so revered and respected by firefighters around the world. On that day, hundreds of firefighters poured into that burning building that was damaged, severely damaged, in an attempt to do what they do every day. They go to put the fire out, rescue any victims, and have enough time with water on the fire in order for everyone to evacuate safely. And that's just what they did. I'm sure you've heard the stories from the survivors where they were all coming down. There were hundreds of them coming down the stairs, and to their amazement, they saw the firemen going up the stairs, single file. They all high-fived them as they went, and they called them heroes. These men knew what they were getting into. They saw the severity of the situation. They saw the victims that were falling from these buildings. They knew what they were getting into. Just imagine, as we look at a building behind you here, 4 times the size these Twin Towers were, over 100 stories. These men are wearing 50 pounds of gear, carrying 50 to 70 pounds of equipment to go up and do what seems almost impossible. I'm proud to have the men and women of the Orlando Fire Department, the Orlando Police Department here. There's at least 100, 150 of them here today. I'm very proud of the tradition that they've upheld to not forget. This is the 10th anniversary, and this is the 10th year that we've done this. We've done it here at Lake Eola this year, but we'll do it at Station 1 here shortly. We will never know how many lives were saved from the heroic actions of the crews that responded on that day. However, the bravery that they displayed and the ultimate sacrifice of the 343 men of the FDNY will never be forgotten by the City of Orlando Fire Department or the Brotherhood of the Fire Service. And now, to symbolize the remembrance of all those that we've talked about today, we have chosen to light 4 memorial candles. One for our firefighters, one for the law enforcement officers, one for our military, and for the civilians that were lost. I'd like to now call the representatives, as I call you up, please, for the lighting of the candle. FDNY, Speedway retired Fire Chief Dominic Marquise. Lieutenant FDNY Joe Dunwall, 87 years old, Lieutenant of Engine 40 in Manhattan. You can put them out. We'll see if we can light them. Lighting the candle for law enforcement officers, NYPD and Port Authority is Honor Guard, OPD Honor Guard Officer Jimmy Toller. Lighting the candle representing our United States military. We're proud to have come up. He's a 15-year member of the Orlando Police Department, but more importantly, he serves our country. He's a colonel in the United States Army, Colonel James D. Craig, Army Special Forces. I must mention that Colonel Craig served 4 tours overseas, 4 tours in this United States. Lighting the candle for the civilians that were lost September 11, 2001 is John Palladino, retired from the city of New York and a current founder and director of the 9/11 Foundation, which has delivered 58 pieces of steel from the World Trade Center throughout the fire departments in Florida. While they're still standing here with us, I'd like to ask Chaplain, Orlando Fire Department Chaplain Reagan Vandergrift, who has served this community, not only the Orlando Fire Department, the Sheriff's Department, the Orange County Fire Department, which I see we have representation from the Orange County Fire Department, thank you, the Airport Authority. He has been serving as a chaplain for us for 33 years, Reagan.
Before I pray or lead us in a time of silence and then prayer, I'm just kind of curious, were there any of you in New York on that fateful day, or you had family members or members of the military, fire department, police department? Would you please stand?